Welcome everybody. Now this video is going to tackle a lot of stuff in one video. First, are you using what people consider best in slot, and is best in slot actually best in slot?
What did he say?
And lastly, because of my one video on to give the best PvP meta type damage, which we found was damage to armor, a lot of people ask, well, what about Fenris? Because they prefer ARs or shotguns. There's actually a build for that, and the shotgun actually works on that one, but a lot of people prefer ARs because they can beam headshots. So what is the strongest AR version of that type of build? So we got that in here as well. But then it also comes down to, is the best in slot, like I was saying before, actually the best in slot? So we have to divide everything up and find out if those are the best pieces to actually make what you would consider the PvP meta with ARs in the Dark Zone, because eventually you'll have to take stuff away and add stuff and take it away and add stuff depending on how you want to play it. So this is going to be a long video, ladies and gentlemen. Sit back, buckle up, because here we go down this road. So unlike some build videos, I like to put them at the beginning so you can just get a quick glance and see it, all that. I'm going to put this randomly in the video for the PvP meta for AR's build. But we want to define what is best in slot first. So we've got a lot of stuff to go over, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry this is going to be very long, but we have to break it down so that way you as a player can choose what you would prefer to use. Because I can't tell you what you have to use. This is what you might want to use. So let's break it all down, shall we? So first off, we're not going to use focus. Though I have focus on my chest piece, we're going to take this off and we're just going to go to glass cannon, because again, you can take away the glass cannon, you can put on unbreakable, whatever you prefer on your chest piece as you prefer as a player. But what we want to find is what the best damage is. So rather than having to sit there and aim and stack it up, we're just going to switch this off to glass cannon. So I'm showing y'all this is what we're doing, so there's not a whole lot of confusion later on. Now we typically have the Suska Grupo basically set up, and you can use 3-piece Providence, it'll give you the same. But rather than the contractors, we're going to use 1 piece of walkers, and rather than these Fox's Prayers, we finally found me a decent pair of this right here that we can actually have critical hit chance, critical hit damage. So we've taken away the damage to targets at a cover aspect. And what we want to find is, does this extra crit chance, which is only 6%, boost us to where we can get more crits out of stuff like boomerang, things of that nature, because we already have high critical hit damage. So does that little bit of crit chance and taking away from there actually increase our damage output? Now you saw we're at 56, so we don't want to go over the 60 mark, but if we want to, we easily can. This will push us up to 61%, and we'll be at 60% critical hit chance and 180 in critical hit damage. So this is where basically some people think that you will always crit because you're at 60%. Sorry, that's not the case, but we will show that here because some people are new, they don't know this stuff, so we're gonna explain it. And you see, if it would have crit, I would have already had boomerang, right? Didn't get my boomerang. As you can see, on the bottom left little yellow bar down here, it didn't even pop up. I shot as many times as I could hit that target, it never gave me boomerang. So that's important to note, that even though you have 60% does not mean you will always crit that bullet. And on top of that, it's a 50% chance to come back. But you can see we're hitting for 4.4, right? 4.4 what? 4.47. So that's not bad when we actually do hit. And then when we do get boomerang, we're at 5.1. That's not bad numbers. So if we have something with high crit and we're shooting a lot of bullets, that might help out more than just boomerang, because it's going to be a random 50% of return on the bullet to crit and so on and so forth. So that's step number 1. Now, as you can see, we have the walkers here. So what if we were to take away and put on contractor's gloves? We lose a little bit of crit chance, we lose the weapon damage, but we gain damage to armor. Now, if the target is based on damage to armor, because Chongas, dogs, and Wally tanks, or Johnny Fives as we like to call them, those are not damage to armor, they are damage to health. So damage to armor will not affect them. Things like Sledgehammer will proc on them, but it will not give you the extra damage. It's just, you're going to get like that extra damage from the Sledgehammer, but if you have damage to health, you're going to get more. As you can see right here, this target has armor, little armor bars. And because it has that, we would get more damage out of it on this target. As you see, we're hitting for 4.7 and 5.3 when we get the boomerang. So we've jumped up on an average about 200 to 300,000 per bullet. That's good. So if we were to take that off and then go to the foxes, does the foxes give more than damage to armor? That's another question. Even though it's 8% and this here is 8%, does it give us more? So let's find out. And let's shoot 4.8. 4.8. So we've gone up an extra 100K from the 4.7. So definitely, foxes is going to give more than the damage to armor. So again, this is where this stuff gets, so 5.5. As you saw, we jumped up almost, what is it, 400K in damage from just critical hit chance, critical hit damage. So having that into your build can actually benefit you more. And we've still got the extra 6% crit chance, and we got the walker right here versus that. So again, we get more damage out of these pieces. So if we combine them both and the target actually has damage to armor, we have the crit chance. And like I said, we get to do a 3-piece Providence because that's going to give you the crit chance and critical hit damage rather than the Seska and the Grupo. It's still going to matter if the target has damage to armor, because if not, then you lose that piece. So that's where the walkers can actually be best in slot on your gloves. But you see, we're hitting for 5 mil right there off the rip. That's almost, again about 600K. So we're hitting for almost 600 to 700K more per bullet on average per each individual shot. And that's where these two pieces come into effect. But again, if the target does not have damage to armor, that's where you lose out. So when you're using things like ARs, you might have to spec and drop some of those critical hit damage mods out and put crit chance in. That's where it all comes into play.
One eternity later.
Now, the newest and greatest piece of is it best in slot is the Picaro's holster. So in comes the Picaro's holster, which gives us extra weapon damage, and you can use this one with the blue. It really doesn't matter which one we use, but I'll just throw the blue on here either way. The question is, are these stronger than, say, Overlord Fox's Prayers? Now, what we'll do is we'll put on a blue core because it's going to have a blue core, and we're going to see what the damage difference is, because weapon damage versus damage to targets out of cover. Is that going to produce more? So as you can see, we have one piece of Seska, we have the walkers, and then we have the glass cannons. So we're going to use a Grupo set of knee pads, and then we'll also trade off and put those other pieces of Overlord in there. And then we'll also show in the other piece, which will give us the foxes right here. So we have the red core right here, like these, and then we'll put on a red core of foxes later, and we'll show the difference in the damages on the Picaros, and then we'll also show with the Grupo holster at the same time and see what the difference is. So let's set up their targets. So sorry if y'all don't understand what I mean, is we're trying to see if that 15% weapon damage actually matters more than the Grupo holster, which typically everybody puts into that spot. So you can see we're hitting for 503 on the max, 435. Was it 4354 and 5301. 5031. So we're going to put on the Overlord knee pads rather than the Grupo and see if weapon damage at 10% versus the 15% critical hit damage matters. 4379. Yep, we're in for 4379. Let's see if we can get that boomerang. 5041. So we hit a little bit more with just these versions, which they're not even foxes, ladies and gentlemen. They're not even foxes. So what we'll do is we're going to put on this right here, and we're going to put these on, and then we're going to put on the foxes, because we already know damage to targets out of cover is going to hit more. So what we're going to do is we're going to try this version versus that one, and we've got a blue core and a red core. So that's what we're going to trade out. We just traded one blue core for this one. So we're not keeping the extra red core, even though the one does have the 15% on there. 5, wow, 5, 3, 1. So definitely Grupo right here and Foxes hit really hard. They hit even harder than that. Now, we didn't have Foxes on the other one, so we're going to put on the Picaros here in a little bit. So 4, 3, or 4, 5, 7, and 5, 3. So we're already hitting harder. So now comes in the question of, is the Picaros going to hit harder with these? So we have to put a red core on, and we're going to put the blue core Picaros on and see if we get even more damage. And let me, give me 1 second. Sorry about that, but I went to go get my red Foxes out. So here we go. So now we're going to test with the red Foxes, and we're going to see what the damage numbers difference is. This way you as a player can decide what you would prefer. So again, we got the Picaros holster, we have the red Foxes, and we're going to see if this actually is going to give the better damage than the Grupo. 4, 6, 4, 6, 4, 5, and 5, 3, 4, 6. So there's your damage differences, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll pop them up right here. So now that everybody's build lab is all destroyed, and even my build lab is all destroyed, let's see if we can make the best PvP AR build, shall we?
Hey! Oh, hell no!
So now that we've explained that some of these spots that actually have best in slot actually do matter when it comes to damage numbers, we got to make the best PvP AR one. So how do we do that? Because damage armor works best when you already have the crit chance on SMGs and shotguns, which don't need that much. So ARs, here you go. Now, first we're just going to talk about this backpack, because this is what matters. As we saw, the weapon damage doesn't matter if we can crit more bullets and get more bullets to crit. So this backpack, while the Walker and Harris actually does give you a little bit more bonus armor, that's mainly in PvE. In PvP, as you see, we can change the stats. It's 12% and 10%. So if you're only fighting one player, 2% in the dark zone really doesn't matter, which is the same, which goes for expertise. I know it's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but it's true. So having that 5% doesn't matter versus having the crit chance, which actually does. So having a Seska backpack or a Fenris backpack and a Seska chest or a Fenris chest in these two spots actually is going to give you the better damage if you're using ARs. Now, if you're going to use the Catharsis Mask or Coyotes, whatever you prefer, Catharsis is still going to give you the more damage as you get more damage coming in. So this, with all these in the right spots, in the right positions, that's what's actually going to matter the most. Because we also have the Seska, we don't have to worry about critting. We can actually put critical hit damage mods on everything, or in the mod slots themselves, or on the build, and just get the multiplicatives out, which actually matter, because the Picaros will also give you that extra 15% weapon damage versus the Walker, which would only have given you 5. So now you're able to crit more at a higher damage rate. So a lot of people ask, well, what about this right here? Why not just put the Walkers here? Because then I get extra critical hit chance and then I lose damage to armor. Yeah, you can do that. This is where it becomes player's choice. This is where it can matter. You could put Seska gloves on, or you could put on the Matador backpack, get that extra percentage out. That's where it becomes player's choice. But if we want the highest damage, it's the other version. So once you start doing this, you're going to take away. So even improvised gloves, are these going to give you the better damage? No, they're not, because you lose out. You'd be better off with a piece of Grupo gloves because you would get more damage out that way. Because again, this is a 12% mod, which goes into this versus 15 of the Grupo. So you already lose 3% critical hit damage. So is that better for you? No. But it's also not just about the build. It's being able to land those shots. So let's say we wanted to show the damage difference. I have a set of Grupo gloves in my piece right here. So we'll do one red on everything. So you see right here, we got the Grupo gloves. So what is the difference on this versus the damage to armor? Because again, we still want to have damage to armor, because we've seen with the SMGs, that's what kills a player. So does this right here for the ARs matter more, or does the actual Petrov gloves matter more in this type of situation? Because we don't want to lose the Picaros holster, and we don't want to lose the Foxes, which most people like to use. And as you see, it gives the most damage. So let's see what we can do with this. As you can see, we just we're cranking out numbers. They're going up pretty fast, right? Let's actually just bring this down. We'll just shoot some rounds into this. Don't mind these bullets or any of the net damage numbers. Let's get down to where we have 2 bullets. One that may crit, one that may not. Because again, we're at 47%. Let's get down to 2 bullets. There we go. Now, what are these two going to give us? 409, 310. 409, 310. Now, that's with red Petrov gloves. So let's put on Grupo, which would give us 3% more than Improvised, right? Let's get down to 2 bullets. Instead of just throwing up a bunch of numbers, let's get down to 2 bullets. The last 2 bullets of your magazine. Let's see what this is actually going to give us. 396. We lost a lot of damage right there because, again, the target has damage to armor. So these have armor bars, just like players would. So that's where it's actually going to matter, where you're chunking their armor away. So is the Grupo the better spot right here? No. Your better spot is going to be against players, and PvP is going to be the actual Petrov gloves. Now again, if you don't want to do this, you could easily drop the Seska on the backpack and do the Walker and Walker gloves. That way you get damaged armor and you get that extra critical hit chance. Now it's only 6% versus the 10% back here, so we basically go down to 45% crit chance. Then the Seska, which would give us the 47, and we can do that. Now, another player suggested, why not do Grupo? Well, then we have to put mods in. That's where we actually lose a lot. We lose not just critical hit chance, but we also lose critical hit damage at the same time. So is the Grupo the better spot? No, the Seska is. So if you're going to do anything, I would do the 2-piece Walker and a 2-piece Seska. That way you can stay close to the 47 and the 141 type damage range. And that's actually going to give you the better chance of damage because you're going to have damage to armor, damage to health, and everything all around.
A little later.
Now this right here, this is where it's going to destroy a lot of players, is the weapons. When you're using ARs, what is the better weapon for ARs, especially in PvP? This is where it becomes player's choice. It honestly becomes player's choice. But let me explain something. If I can crit you for very well with high damage, I'm going to kill you a little bit faster. Even if I land 1 or 2 more shots better because I'm able to land those higher damage ones, that's going to matter. Now, you can use an Eagleberry. You can use whatever exotic. But the Carbine 7 actually gives you the best range for these types of weapons at high damage. Now, it's not extremely a lot when we're talking about versus the TKB or the FAL, but as you can see, the damage drop-off range is actually beating the TKB, and we got better accuracy and stability, just like the FAL. This one here is really good for spotter builds. It really is, because it's more stable, and you can land those shots. It's higher damage. But the Carbine 7 actually can reach out there just a little bit farther by about 4 more meters and hit that target and wound them even faster with higher damage. So out of all of them, there's only 2 of them that give you the most. So you can see that one was 28, and that was the FAMAS versus 31 with the TKB. So if you're trying to beam players from afar that are running away from you or anything like that, you need to have range. You actually have to have range, because it's not just about close and quarter combat. Being able to hit them farther away and damage them before they can get to you is actually a very vital piece of this that a lot of people leave out. So having that extra range ability with the damage alone also on here, that's what matters. So you still have that high crit chance and high critical hit damage, but if I can hit you for more damage even farther away before you get to me, I'm able to chunk away more of your armor. So the Carbine 7 is going to be your best for high damage and best range and best accuracy, landing more shots. That is why I personally say that the Carbine 7 is going to do you better. Plus, it works better than the FAMAS, because you can also, if you want to put spotter on here, the Carbine 7 allows for that laser pointer. So some of these other weapons also do the same. And that's where this here comes in. And this is what kills a lot of players. Now, I don't have one in here, but I'll go over some of them that I have. So for instance, like this Carbine 7, as you also see, this one's a max 20. So you can see the damage difference right here versus the FAMAS. The actual damage difference of a 20 versus 20. And it's not much. But again, being able to land those shots farther out on players that are farther away, running away, or trying to rush up on you matters. Now here we have the military AKM, and you see not so stable, but look at the damage drop off on this, the ACR. This one drops off at the 28, just like the other ones do, or the 31, and it still falls out. Same with the these. Now I don't have one of these right here, the P416, but still, you see fast drop off versus this version, not so well. And again, this one here actually reaches out to 35, just like the Carbine 7. But as you see, it's a quick drop off versus like elongated, like the FAL and everything else. So again, this one here is where it matters. But this here, this is by far probably the best for PvP. One is because it's got the fast RPM of the FAMAS, has about the same damage. You gain a little bit more accuracy, a little bit more stability, while you lose only 0.2 seconds. But the damage drop off is at 35 meters. So if you really want the best AR in the game, the FAMAS is not the way, because the military M4 or the police M4 allows you to actually get the range of the Carbine 7, but landing as many bullets of the FAMAS at that type of range. Plus, another bonus to this, as you can see, we're at 28 for the FAMAS, 35 for the range for the police M4. But the other bonus that a lot of people, or not everybody, some people don't talk about is that the police M4 allows for things like flatline, spotter talents, because that's the way you can actually put on that linked laser pointer and get that damage out. So you're getting that damage from this range and a lot of bullets hitting that target extremely fast. So in this, as you can see, this one allows for it, and this one does not. Now again, with every build in this game, I can show you the damage numbers, I can show you these things even in combat, because this is my playstyle, and someone else could be landing better shots, killing me faster with their playstyle. The builds will still work no matter what you do or how you put on them. It's how you use them and how you practice with them to make yourself better at using them is what's actually going to matter. The numbers will not change. These will still be the same numbers from here to whoever else uses them. Doesn't matter what they put on. They will have the same damage as what you have. It just depends on if you have more expertise than they do or they have more than you do. Now, at the end of the day, the build will still work nonetheless the same for you or everybody else. Again, it's practice, practice, practice. I can't stress this enough. If you feel like this build is not working for you or that specific weapon isn't working for you, by all means, go change it up. Try a Carbine 7, try an AKM, try ACRE, whatever you want. If it works better for you because you can land those shots, because it's a little bit slower, you can hit those shots, that's what matters at the end of the day. The build itself is what you'd want to build, is that right there, to give you the best damage. The weapons you prefer to use, by all means, use them. Make it work for you. The build will still be there. It'll still be the best. It'll still be the same strength. So, hope you enjoy.